Okay. All right. Very good. I'm going to, let's see if we can get a decent video. Not like last time that nobody could see the video. But I think I found one. It's just that it cuts in between. But we can watch it a little bit. Okay. Right. Let's see. Free with ads. Which one were we watching? I think this one. This one's the one that kind of cuts in between.
Go for the athletics type, don't they?
Jeremy, you're stepping on my tail.
Oh, yeah. Oh, excuse me, pardon. Excuse me, pardon.
Maybe I should go look for Mom.
I don't think so, Martin.
Frisbee! Frisbee!
Oh, Auntie Shrew. Oh, Auntie.
Oh, no. Frisbee!
She'll wake up Timothy.
Frisbee!
She's not here.
Frisbee! Why is she always coming around here, poking her nose in where she's not wanted?
Martin?
Thank you, child. I must speak with your mother. Your auntie is exhausted. Why me? That I alone should be responsible for the welfare of the entire field is monstrous. Frisbee!
Mother isn't here. Auntie Shrew, Timmy's sick.
Cynthia, dearest, don't bore me. She's not here. She left you children alone, then?
I'm old enough.
Rats in the field, up to heaven knows what kind of mischief. Cynthia, dear, don't fidget. You're so like your mother.
I ain't scared of nothing.
She went to see Mr. Aegis.
To Aegis? That old flim-flam. Whatever for?
Auntie Shrew, Timmy's sick.
Patience, my pet. Why to Aegis?
Timmy's sick. Timothy is very ill.
Timmy ill? How dreadful.
I'm not afraid of the dark.
What?
I'm not afraid of the farmer.
I can't hear.
I'm not even scared of dragon. I'm not even afraid of the great owl.
Will you hush up?
You hush up.
Martin.
Precocious monster.
Bossy bullfrogs.
Spoiled brat.
Loudmouth.
Oh, well. That will be quite enough, thank you. Cast not pearls before swine, I always say, and that includes impudent piglets. Good day. Ah! Ah! You impertinent little...
Martin! Auntie Shrew, what's going on?
Indeed.
Please, come back inside.
Not for a king's ransom. I have just one thing to say. That child is a brat.
Yes, I will speak to him.
I came here to inform you that the frost is off the ground and moving day is at hand. Prepare to move your very, very odd family. Good day. You never know what might be lurking about out there, what with rats in the field.
Well, children, now you've done it.
It was Martin.
The shrew means well. She only wants to help.
Gosh, I'm sorry, Mom.
Dream by night, wish by day, love begins this way. Night's a friend with love to send, each new day. Bless your heart, bless your soul, let your dreams come true. Future songs and flying dreams wait for you. Love, it seems, made flying dreams so hearts could soar. Heaven sent these wings were meant to prove once more that love is the key.
Is Timmy gonna die?
No, sweetheart. He's just very sick.
What's the matter with him, Mother?
Mr. Aegis called it pneumonia.
Pneumonia. When will he get better?
Soon, I hope.
As you wish, as you will, dream a flying start. Love and care, the power's there. Trust your heart, trust your heart.
Off to bed with you now.
What did I tell you? Moving day.
It can't be.
It certainly can. I don't suppose you've packed.
What about Timmy? The chill in the air could kill him.
Well, child, that tractor surely will. For the last time, get your children out of here before it's too late. Oh! Run! The plow is here! Run for your lives! Run! It's moving day! Run! The plow is here! Run! Get out! Timothy.
Please, take the children out of
Mommy,
here.
we can't leave Timmy.
Go with Auntie Shrew. I've got to try and stop that thing.
Wait! You're out of your mind! Frisbee, come back! Frisbee! Come on, come on.
What? Rotten luck. The fuel line's cut.
He'll come back tomorrow. I wish Jonathan were here.
Well, he's not. Stop it.
What am I going to do?
We'll think of something. Come on, let's get out of here.
Well, I think Mrs. Frisbee needs to move out of there, don't you think?
I think the shrew is kind of harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, now
I
it's a
think Mr.
farmer is
Fitzgibbon
farming.
is a harsh guy.
The what?
I think Mr. Fitzgibbon is the harsh guy.
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Aegis.
yeah. Well, Mrs. Frisbee now has got a problem because the farmer is going to be,
Blowing her house down.
and then her home is going to get destroyed.
But Auntie Shrew broke something.
Well, she went inside of the engine of the
Gas
tractor.
tank. Gas
She
tank.
Yeah, the gas tanks, yes. But she went in there and she broke off the hose. So the tractor stopped. But now what happens tomorrow when he gets the tractor fixed? They have to move out, you know, where the mice live, it's called a burrow. Do you know that? It's called a burrow, a mouse burrow or a mice burrow. So they got to move their burrows somewhere else. They
But
gotta
what
move
about Timmy?
Well, she rescued Timmy. She came over and grabbed Timmy and took him with her. Timmy's not feeling well. He just took that medicine that Mr. Aegis gave him. So, you know, but he's getting better and she got him out of there. So she rescued him, which was good. Disabling the tractor gave her enough time to go in and rescue him. But now what is she going to do? You know, what is she going to do? She's got to do something. She's got to go somewhere else. She's got to make a different home somewhere else. She can't live
It
there.
says later in the book, like it says that she has a permanent summer home somewhere, and
Yeah.
well, or she could, and well, she later meets the rats, and they suggest moving the cinder block that she lives in
Yeah. Yeah.
to the lee of the stone, whatever that is.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, okay. So we'll go back to the video. Let's look at we were talking about the author, right? Talking about the author. So let's keep on talking about the author and the background. You know, we were saying about Robert C. O'Brien's his background, that he went to school and what he studied, and then where he worked. He worked for National Geographic, which is a really, really good magazine. It's a great, great magazine. It's all about nature and things like that, and the books that he wrote and the fiction that he wrote. So now let's talk about the background. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. Background. Let's see what happens here. Robert Conley was enjoying a career as a senior editor in the employ of National Geographic magazine. And this was back when that magazine held a reputation beyond repute. In other words, had a great reputation. Back before it was temporarily in the hands of anti-science magnate Rupert Murdoch, who is actually a bad guy. And this is the truth. Rupert Murdoch bought National Geographic and everybody was scared. But fortunately, it is now owned by Disney. Disney came in and bought it. And Disney, it's pretty good. So if someone along the spectrum of Murdoch's knowledge of science had overseen National Geographic prior to 1972, readers might have been treated to the story of Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim much earlier. And its author, Robert C. O'Brien, might not have felt compelled to use a name other than Robert Leslie. Wait a minute. I gotta get rid of this little floating thingy over here. Oh, my computer's stuck. Use the name of Robert Leslie Conley. But this is real. This is what really happened to him, because Rupert Murdoch bought National Geographic, and people were scared because Rupert Murdoch is a bad guy in real life. Conley entered the world of children's literature at a relatively late age. He was a journalist before that, and he wrote a couple of books that were nonfiction. But then later in life, he decided to write children's books, which I think he should have started doing that much earlier. Unfortunately, far too late in age to provide his readership with a multiple adventures of those rats at Nim that might have gotten had he commenced his second career earlier in life. Had he started that career earlier, he would have probably come up with 3 or 4 or 5 different volumes of, the Rats of Nim. And that would have been really nice. Unfortunately, he started late in life. That might have gotten, and blah, blah, blah. The man known to millions of readers of his beloved book would pass away in just a matter of literally a few years following publication of Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. So after he published it, he died very early. He died very quickly, like I think within a year or two. So it's too bad. Now his daughter tried to write, while sequels have been written by his daughter, Jane. Surely there is no substitute for the original. She's not as good as he is. And what an original and breathtaking work of fiction Robert C. O'Brien truly turned out to be. It's too bad. It was just too bad. It's not just millions of kids who agreed that O'Brien's book was a breathtaking adventure of the highest order. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim took home the ultimate honor for a writer of children's book in 1972, winning the prestigious Newbery Award. In 1982, Disney apostate Don Bluth created an animated film from this source material entitled The Secret of Nim, which is the one that we're watching, with a tone varying significantly resulting from the decision to transform one of the major characters into a Yoda-like mystic. And that's something he did, something this producer did that, you know, if O'Brien had been alive, maybe he wouldn't allow him to, because he, you know, this one character is kind of like a mystic, kind of like Yoda, you know, Yoda in Star Wars. The CGI revolution in animation of the 21st century simulated plans for a live action animation combo remake. They wanted to do it. The fundamental underlying element of the story is this novel is, of course, the impact of scientific experimentation on lab rats. And that's what this thing is all about, right? In other words, like I was telling you, sometimes we make experiments on little animals. And is it fair? Is it right that we do that? Now, in this case, O'Brien wrote about animals that became almost human because of the experimentation. They started being able to talk and figure things out, and you know, and create medicine for themselves and all of this kind of stuff. But still, remember that we must remember, and we must reject products that are made through animal experimentation. It's not right. It's not right that a little animal should be experimented on. Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim has become one of those children's books that appeared forever destined to be detached from reality. But recent experiments now bring that assumption under scrutiny, meaning that back then, this idea that you could take a rat and make them too smart was really not true, was never going to happen. You know, today, so many things are being done with DNA and with experiments and all this kind of stuff. You really wonder if this could be possible. Could it be possible? Could it be possible that experiments like this could change an animal, totally change an animal, for the better or for the worse, right? Could it? We don't know. We really don't know. Anyway, so let's look at the summary of the plot and of the Rats of Nim. And let me keep an eye on the clock here, because I do want to play a little bit of that movie, which is really cool. So let's look at the summary. Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim is a children's novel by Robert O'Brien. The novel, which was published in 1971, tells the story of a widowed field mouse whose home is in danger of being destroyed by a farmer's plow. That big thing the farmer was driving. In the front is the tractor, but in the back is the plow. And the plow cuts into the earth. And then the farmer comes back and throws seeds inside of this hole or this trench that he created with a plow. And then he covers it, right? And then months later, something comes out. If he's growing potatoes, he's going to get potatoes under the ground. If he's growing string beans, a pole would come out with the string beans hanging, right? If he's growing corn, a big stalk of corn will come out and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And then corn husks come out, bloop, like that. And then eventually, after those vegetables and that food comes out of the ground, then the farmer's got to come back and harvest it. And harvesting means that the farmer is going to cut the corn out and put it in a truck and sell it. Or the string beans, he's going to pull them out of the trees, put them in a truck and sell them. Or if it's potatoes under the ground, you know, potatoes grow under the ground, then he's got to take a machine to get the potatoes out, and then he puts them in a truck. Actually, the potatoes are a little different. They put them in a cellar. They put them like in a basement, and they let them stay there for about 3 or 4 months. And in that cellar, they ripen a little bit. They ripen enough that then they can sell them. I worked in a potato farm when I was a youngster, when I was like 18, I think 19. I was going to college, and a friend of mine whose relative uncle had a potato farm in Idaho. And we decided to take a road trip out there and work for him for the summer. And so I worked in a potato farm, and I know how the potatoes are grown. Once the potatoes go into the cellar, they have a machine on the inside of the cellar that to separate the good potatoes from the bad potatoes. And then it requires people to manage it, you know, to oversee the machine. So that's one of the jobs that I did. I would sit in the machine, and the machine would run, and then potatoes would come by, and I would pick out the ones that were bad and throw them away, and let the ones that were good go through, you know. And then they would fall into this cart, and then we would bag them. We would put them in bags, and then we would load them onto trucks, and then the trucks would take them out to market, and they would sell. So I know how that whole process is. Very hard work, very hard work. But you know, we need farmers. We need farmers because we need food. We need potatoes, we need corn, you know. And it's true that in the farm, there are a lot of rats. There are a lot of rats. There are a lot of everything. There's a lot of different kinds of critters and little animals living around the farm. So you got moles. A mole is a little animal that digs a hole in the ground, and he goes in the ground. So this farm had moles. There were holes where the moles would go in, you know, and we would try to get rid of the moles because the moles, they want to eat the potatoes. So we didn't want to allow that. And then there'd be rats. We would see rats running around all the time. And we also had, there were also foxes. A lot of foxes would come around, and this farm didn't have any chickens, didn't have any animals. This was strictly a potato farm. But the other farmers nearby who had chickens, they were always afraid of the foxes because the foxes would try to sneak into the chicken coop and eat chickens, you know, grab a chicken and kill it and then take it out and eat it. So, you know, you can't have that if you're a farmer, because then you lose all your chickens to these foxes. And the foxes should be hunting the rats, not hunting the chickens, which are needed for the farmers to get eggs and things like that, and then sell them to people like you and me, right? So, so it was very interesting living and working in that farm, and I did that one summer, and then I went back to school, you know. And I said to myself, I don't ever want to be a farmer. This is very hard work, very, very hard work. Anyway, so Mrs. Nim, she enlists the help of a highly advanced society of rats, a former laboratory mouse. Yes.
They were originally lab rats.
Yep. Yes, they were. They were originally lab rats, and then something happened. We don't know what happened, but they became really smart.
She gets captured.
think
Well,
so.
later, I don't want to get ahead of this.
I think so. They escape. So I think so. They escape.
Yeah, well, it's a big adventure. It definitely
Yeah,
is
they
a big
escaped.
adventure. It's a big, big adventure. Anyway, so she enlists the help of a highly advanced society of rats and a former laboratory mouse to save her home. The novel received broad critical acclaim. Everybody loved the novel at the time of its publication and won the 1972 Newbery Medal. In 1982, it was adapted into an animated movie entitled The Secrets of Nim, which is the one that we've been watching. So so it's a big adventure, right? It's a big, big adventure. Mrs. Frisbee, a recently widowed field mouse, lives in a cinder block house. Cinder block. Have you ever seen a cinder block? A cinder block has a hole in the middle. Did you know that? I'm going to show you a cinder block. And then you're going to be able to visualize how it was that she lived. So, oh, wait a minute. People are communicating to me here. A lot of insects, a lot of pests. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to show you a cinder block. Cinder block. So you can visualize where she lived. And I'll show you. Very interesting that he should choose a cinder block. A lot of homes are made out of cinder block. It's a very strong material, but it has a hole in the middle. So that's where she would make her home.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You watch. Wait a minute. Cinder.
How can you build a home with a hole in the middle?
Yeah. You see this? This is a cinder block.
Oh, these blocks. I've seen them before.
Yeah, this is a cinder block. See right here? Look at this. This is cinder block. And homes are made out of cinder block. And the reason why the hole is in the middle is because it keeps the warmth inside of the home better. The middle kind of warms up and it cools off in the winter time, in the summertime. So she lived inside of this hole. She lived inside of this hole. This is a cinder block. This is a cinder block. Now I'm going to show you homes that are made out of cinder block. Homes made out of cinder block. Aha, look at this. See, all these homes are made out of cinder block. All of them. Look at this house over here. Very rudimentary home. Little home, maybe in Latin America somewhere. And see how they put together the cinder blocks? And then they build a home. But then there are big homes that are made out of cinder block. We lived in a home. You can just type cinder block homes. Yes. In Google, you type cinder block homes. And you're going to get it. But we lived in a house that was made out of cinder block. And it was very cool inside. Very strong house too. Yeah, I know. You don't need to type that much. You're smart. You're very smart. You're totally correct. But anyway, these are homes that are cinder block homes or made out of cinder block. Look at this one. Very nice house. Beautiful home. So cinder blocks are very common building material. But I can see how a mouse could live inside of a cinder block, don't you think? Don't you think that that is very feasible? I think it is. Definitely very feasible. All right, so let's go back here. This Frisbee recently, Frisbee received 3 packets of medicine. So anyway, so remember that her son had a pneumonia. Her son Timothy is sick with a pneumonia and confined to his bed. Mrs. Frisbee receives 3 packets of medicine from Mr. Aegis, an older mouse, to give to Timothy. On her way home, she sees a crow named Jeremy. The crow is Jeremy, tied to a tree, and saves him from the farmer's cat. Dragon, remember dragon, he came out like that by chewing through the ropes. So she chewed through the ropes, and then Jeremy was able to escape. In return, Jeremy gives Mrs. Frisbee a ride back to her house. Mrs. Frisbee returns home to find her other children gathered around Timothy's bed because he's sick. She gives him all 3 packets of medicine, right? Because she knows that these are the packets of medicine that are going to save his life, which causes his illness to subside. So what does the word subside means? It means fall back, right? Diminish, not be as strong. So he starts getting a little bit better. He basically starts getting a little bit better, which is good. However, he is still too weak to travel with a family to their summer home. Mrs. Fitzgibbon, the farmer, Mr. Fitzgibbon, the farmer, is getting ready to plow the garden for springtime planting. See, he's got to plow the garden, he's got to plow the ground, because come springtime, he has to put the seeds in there. He's got to put the seeds in there. When his tractor dies, he has to order a new piece. This delays the plowing and gives Mrs. Frisbee some time to come up with a plan. Jeremy suggests that she asks advice from an owl who lives in the forest and flies her to the owl's tree. Owls are always, people think that owls are wise, they're smart, right? Because they look smart. And owls have become kind of the symbol of smart people sometimes. But do you remember this part in the movie where Jeremy is all tied up in this rope and she's kind of helping him? But the book is different from the movie, because in the movie, she's the one that goes in the engine of the tractor and makes the tractor die. But in reality, in the book, the tractor just broke down on its own, right? But the person directing the movie, the one that rewrote the movie, figured that it would be more exciting if she goes in the tractor engine and does something to it, to break it. It makes her, remember the word personification, anthropomorphism. It makes her more personified, right? It makes her more of a person, of a hero person, if she's able to do that. So yeah, is it an improvement? I don't know, maybe. It is a really nice movie. It's a really pretty cartoon. When the owl, see the owl over here? Look how wise that owl looks. But in reality, owls hunt mice. So again, this is a real fantasy, because in real life, owls are hunters and they hunt mice. They specialize in hunting and eating mice. You see this beak that they have, this beak? That beak is very sharp, and they can dig that beak in the prey, in the animals that they hunt.
Weapon?
Huh?
Do they use it as a weapon?
They use it as a way to eat. Yeah, and a weapon too. Yeah, because, well, their weapons are their claws. Their claws. They grab the animal with their claws, and then they take the animal somewhere, and then they use the beak to break up the skin and eat it. And in fact, I can show you a video of
No.
of how they fly. They're great flyers. They fly, they got these big, long wings, beautiful wings. And when they go hunt, they fly down like that. And an owl. Let's see what happens. Here they are. Look at that. Look at those beautiful wings. And see this owl over here, it's got a little mouse in his beak.
Okay, please no, stop showing me.
Well, but you know, this is part of nature, right? This is how the owls eat. They have to. This is nature, is the way to balance nature is the way you keep the population of mice down is with owls and things like that, foxes. They have to keep the population down, otherwise we get overrun by mice. And that's why nature is so beautiful, because nature is always in balance. Nature is always in balance. One thing balances out the other. Nature is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And owls, we have owls here in this neighborhood. And there's an owl that sits across the street in a tree. And he's gorgeous, gorgeous owl. And I've seen him fly. Their wings are so wide. And they're so majestic when they fly. And they, like that. They flap their wings and they take off. And then when they're flying, sometimes they glide. Gliding means that they don't flap their wings. They just glide like this, you know, like that. Because flapping their wings is like putting energy behind them. That's what makes them go. But once they're up in the air and they spread their wings allow them to glide, and they glide. They're beautiful. And we also have a hawk. We have a couple of hawks that are around here, and hawks are the same. They got these beautiful wingspans. And when the hawks and the owls come out, little animals run. They go and hide because they're afraid. They're afraid of the owl and they're afraid of the hawk because they're hunters. But in this movie, the owl is a nice owl. And the owl, I guess, becomes friends with Mrs. Frisbee, right? Which is a little bit weird, right? A little bit weird. Nature needs to make sure all the species equivalent. If they don't, that species will run out of food. You're totally correct. This is part of the balance of nature. Imagine without owls, we would get overrun by mice. Or without hawks, we would get overrun by mice. And
Technically not.
What's that?
Technically not. Because you would still have another species eating the mice.
Right. If then you need another species to catch the mouse. Yeah. Something has got to take the place of that owl. Something has to take the place of the hawk. Something has to take the place of the snake, right? Because snakes, they also eat mice, right? Foxes and cats and bobcats, that's right. So we need the predators. The thing is that these animals are predators. And predators mean that they go after some sort of prey. They go after something that they hunt. So we got to have animals that feed the prey. But then those animals that feed the prey, they also have in nature, they have a purpose. They have a purpose. Those animals eat bugs, right? Little bugs. Rats, a lot of times, eat garbage.
Grass.
Things like that. So nature has a purpose for a mouse. They have a purpose for a rat. They're food for the bigger prey, but they also do other things. They get rid of bugs. They get rid of, things like that. Maybe they dig a hole in the ground and then a bird can come and drop a seed in that hole and then a flower comes out, right? Look at the bees, right? The bees go, and when they want to make honey, they go into a flower and they take the pollen, and then they take the pollen back to the nest and they make honey out of the pollen. However, when they take that pollen and they go to another flower, they leave some of that pollen behind in the other flower. And then that other flower can have more flowers, and then more flowers grow. So bees are good for the environment because they help other flowers grow, other trees grow, because they pollinate. It's called pollination. They go through this process of pollination. So bees are very important. And then to top it off, bees make honey. And we love honey. I love honey. I love honey in my tea. In fact, today I had a big cup of tea with honey in it. Ooh, it tastes so good. I had lemon tea with honey. And oh my gosh, it tastes so good. And it's so warm in your tummy. So we need the bees to pollinate the flowers so that they can grow better. And then we use the bees to get honey. So everything in nature has its place. Everything in nature works together to create the world that we live in. To create the world that we live in, right? So everything is in balance. Everything in the world is in balance. Now, this book, though, is fantasy, of course. So the owl, when the owl finds out that Mrs. Frisbee is the widow of Jonathan Frisbee, he tells her to go and speak to a group of rats who live, who live in the rose bushes. No, I got the hiccup. Sorry about that. Who live in the rose bushes near her home. So she comes over and he goes, Mrs. Frisbee, are you the widow of Jonathan Frisbee? Oh, yes, I am. I am the widow of Jonathan Frisbee. Oh, I see. I see. Very wise owl. Why don't you go talk to this group of rats that live over there by rose bushes? Now, in real life, the owl would have eaten, would have hunted Mrs. Frisbee and eaten. But in this
Gobbled her up at the first first sight of her.
Yep, would have gobbled her up. But in this book, the owl is a nice owl, and he doesn't eat Mrs. Frisbee. And you wonder what he eats. What does he eat? If he doesn't eat mice, what does he eat, right? But anyway, it's a fantasy. When Mrs. Frisbee goes,
Maybe he eats grass.
yeah, maybe. I doubt it, though.
Cats eat grass.
Well, some birds eat seeds, right? Some birds eat seeds. Parrots, they eat seeds. And other birds, canaries.
The rats and the mice made the cat eat sleeping powder.
Yeah. My cat is getting fat, He's becoming a fat cat. I got to put him on a diet. All he wants to do is eat. Eat, 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 eat. Eat, 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 eat. I got to put him on a diet.
My rabbit always eats. Like it always likes to eat. It's just growing bigger and bigger each day.
Yeah. What do you feed your rabbit? And yes, I have a cat. Yes,
I feed it like pet food. Like it's made out of hay. It's like hay, but it's, a little bit complicated. It's really good for the lungs.
I also have a turtle. It didn't eat anything in this winter.
Brumation, I see.
I also have a rabbit and I also have 2 parakeets.
Ah, two parakeets. Oh my goodness. What do you feed the parakeets?
It's seeds and like they have to be small, otherwise they can't fit in their mouths.
Ah, little seeds. Yeah.
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 I also made a mistake. The hay they eat was compressed. It wasn't
Oh,
a little decomposed. It was compressed.
do they climb on your finger? Do they like climb on your finger? If you go like this, do they get on your finger? Do they, the parakeets?
No.
No. Okay.
I had
Because
a
I know people that have got parakeets and they put their fingers out like this, and the parakeets
Yeah.
fly right on their fingers, and they
Mhm.
Yeah,
And they
I wish
sting.
they could do. I wish they could do that, but like, they won't.
Ah. I
My
see.
parakeet always bite me.
He does. He
Yeah,
bites you.
when
Does it hurt?
I put my finger into his close to him, he will like bite me.
Oh, does it hurt?
Mm.
Not a little bit.
A little bit. Oh.
My parakeets, like, they only bite you if you really annoy them or like you touch their feathers or their foot or something.
Do you ever scratch their chest over here?
I can't even touch them.
Oh, they don't like it. They don't let you touch them.
Well, like every time I put my hand close to them, they'd be like, "Okay, I'm scooting away from here."
Ah. Ah. I used to have a parrot when I was a kid. Big parrot. And he spoke words. You know, some parrots go, Polly want a cracker, Polly want a cracker. Or, you know, they repeat whatever you say. Johnny, Johnny.
Only want the cracker.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway. Okay, so Frisbee goes to visit them. So, you know, he says, go to the rose bushes. So when Mrs. Frisbee goes to visit them, she discovers that the technologically advanced rats live with electricity, elevators, heat, and lighting. My God, those are advanced rats. That is insane. Wow. While Mrs. Frisbee waits in the library to speak to Nicodemus, the leader of the rats, she notices the words, the plan of the rats of Nim. The plan of the rats of Nim? What the heck is that? Written on a white.
From what I've read, it's like, I think it's like food storage or something. I think they're also going to move somehow or something.
Yeah, maybe. She wonders to herself what the word Nim means. I've been wondering all along why. And remember, somebody asked last week, Nim, what the heck is
Nim?
Nim?
NIM
Yeah.
stands for National Institute of Mental Health.
Ah, look at that. My goodness. So it's an acronym. Acronym. You know the word acronym? Here's a new word for you.
Yes. So the people inside, including Julie, they are some, I forgot their name, what type of scientists, but they study our brains and neurons. And they rats.
So NIM is an acronym. An acronym means the initials of a phrase. National Institute of Mental Health. Wow. Geez, we learn something new every day. The plan of the rats of Nim. She wonders to herself what the word Nim means. What does it mean? Nicodemus tells Mrs. Frisbee that the rats can help her move her house to the other side of the stone to avoid the plow, using a pulley system that they invented. They invented a pulley system? Oh my gosh. In
Well,
order
they're
to-
laboratory rats, and well, they were taught to read.
Yeah. Wow.
And probably other stuff. I've only read that far.
In order to do this, however, the rats would have to drug Dragon's bowl to put the cat to sleep. So they got to put some drug into the bowl of the cat. And then the cat will fall asleep. And then they
It's
can do what?
sleeping powder.
Sleeping powder. Yeah, sleeping powder. Or maybe a sleeping pill that they crush. And they make it into a powder and then they put it in there. And then Dragon comes over and eats it. And they like that. Mrs. Frisbee learns that her husband, who was acquainted with the rats, was killed by Dragon while attempting to drug him. Mrs. Frisbee also learns about the history of the rats. She also learns that, wow, this is getting to be very exciting. Very exciting. Let's do one more, and then we're going to watch a little bit of the movie. Nicodemus explains that he and his friend Jenner discovered a bag of food one day and were captured by scientists who took them to a laboratory at the National Institute of Mental Health, or NIM. There, the rats were given experimental shots that gave them the ability to read, write, and operate complex machinery.
And that's where they knew how to, like, the machines, the lighting, all this pulley stuff. And
Right.
yeah.
That's how they learned all this stuff. That's how they're able to do all this incredible stuff. My gosh. I don't know. I'd like to take one of those shots myself. Maybe I can become a little smarter. A rat named Justin figured out how to open the door of his cage by reading the instructions. By reading the instructions. Yeah, they also have a radio. And led the other rats, along with 8 lab mice, to escape through the air ducts before Jonathan was killed. He and Mr. Aegis were the last 2 remaining lab mice out of the original group of 8. Okay, so let's watch a little bit of the, so I'm going to put here end of class 2. Save this. And we're going to go here. Let's see.